Okay. So once again, welcome everyone. My name is Jenna Villani, and I'm the Executive Director of Alumni Relations here at William Paterson University. I'm delighted to welcome you to tonight's session, Mindfulness in the New Year. What is it and how can it help me? On behalf of the Office of Alumni Relations and the Alumni Association, it's my pleasure to have you join us tonight. I'd like to also acknowledge members of the Alumni Relations team who are joining us for tonight's session. So with us, we have Rodney Coffin, Alumni Associate, and Kate Matthews, Associate Director of Alumni Relations. So please feel free to send a virtual hello to them. So while we're not able to connect in person at this time, we're pleased to provide many ways for you to stay connected to William Paterson and your alumni community in online and virtual formats. So I encourage you to take advantage of the many virtual programs and activities that we're offering, such as the virtual book club, social events, lifelong learning opportunities, career development programs, and more. So before we get started, I'll just quickly share some details on how this will all work tonight. So when you entered this Zoom room, your microphone and videos were automatically turned off. We kindly ask that you please keep your microphone muted during the presentation. There will be times throughout the program where we may ask you to unmute and give you an opportunity to ask questions or share comments. So we'll let you know when those times happen. And you're welcome to put your video on or keep it off, whatever you're most comfortable with. Again, we welcome questions. We want this to be interactive, so feel free to type your questions in the chat box throughout the session, and we'll take some time to answer those questions later in the evening. Just a note that today's session is being recorded and it will be available on demand on our alumni YouTube channel following the session. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. So mindfulness is a hot topic these days. It's getting more attention in the news, on social media, and in academic research. Despite its popularity, many of us are still left wondering, what does this vague word actually mean and how does it apply to my life? So in this interactive workshop, you'll have the chance to explore some of the benefits of mindfulness and how, with practice, it can enhance many aspects of our lives. Then you'll be introduced to a few mindfulness techniques that will improve awareness, reduce stress, and boost overall well-being. Now it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker. Erin Coyne is the Associate Director of Recreational Services at William Paterson University. She holds a degree in health and exercise science and is a certified personal trainer and group fitness instructor. Erin has been practicing yoga, meditation, and mindfulness for over 15 years. She's facilitated many well-being and mindfulness workshops for students, faculty, and staff, and has presented in the area of well-being at various industry conferences. Erin is passionate about health and wellness, as well as helping others improve their overall well-being through movement and mindfulness. So Erin, we're so glad to have you with us tonight, and I will go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you.
Great, thanks guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and to be able to virtually interact with the William Paterson alumni. And again, I want to thank everybody for just coming together and joining us in this space, this space of mindfulness. And tonight we'll be talking about mindfulness and really taking a closer look at its meaning and exploring ways in which we can apply mindfulness into our own lives. So jumping right into it, I'm going to ask you guys to take a minute or so, and I want you to write down or even just think about or type, whatever's easiest for you. Think about as many words as you can to define mindfulness. I know we've all heard the term and we've seen it and we might know a little something about it. And so I want to just kick off this presentation with giving you some time to think about what it means and how you would define it. So again, let's just take about a minute or so and feel free to write it down or reflect, whatever's easiest. All right. All right, so I'm looking at those little boxes to see if see if everyone's still writing or looking up. So if you're still working on your list, that's great, and feel free to continue to have those thoughts in your mind and to be thinking about what it means to you. And I'm hoping that by now you've had a chance to give this some thought and have come up with a few words or a few meanings and a way to define mindfulness in your own words. And I'd love for you to share some of your ideas with the group if a few of you would like to. Either feel free to unmute yourself and share with the group, or feel free to type in the chat. But just, feel free to share. Let's get a list together and let's see what people are thinking about mindfulness. Awesome. I'm seeing some great things in the chat here. We have yeah, being present, absolutely. And soulful presence, being in the moment, quiet and stillness, being aware, self-awareness for sure. Relaxation, calm and peace. Living in the now, absolutely. In a thoughtful and more genuine manner. Yep, that's key. Not just being in the moment, but being able to be genuine and not judgmental. Present moment, now. Focus on one thing and meditation, absolutely. Single tasking over multitasking. Active attention, appreciation in the moment, grateful, living life, serenity. Oh, these are great, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. This is a great list that we were able to compile. We still got some coming in. Recognizing thoughts, yep, emotions, breath, breathing, breath awareness, and flowing. Great. So we've come up with a pretty good list here. And again, mindfulness is a pretty straightforward word. However, it can be hard to nail down the meaning into words. And even we had so many great ideas here, but even a lot of us had some different ideas and kind of thought about it in some different ways. And you will find variations of the meaning in books, in websites, audio, and video. But here on the screen, I'm going to share a definition of mindfulness that kind of ties these ideas together and gives us a different and a deeper understanding of the meaning behind mindfulness. And that definition describes mindfulness as the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where you are and what you are doing. So hopefully we'll be practicing this tonight, and even as we do this presentation, it might be easy for some of you guys to be listening or to be watching, but sending an email, your pets, your children, people could be vying for your attention, but we can start practicing right now and just being in the moment, just being present, and just being here in this workshop. And again, mindfulness suggests that the mind is fully attending to what's happening, what you're doing, and to the space that you're moving through. It's about that power of single tasking rather than multitasking. So moving along. But this all sounds good, right? Being aware, being present, being positive, thinking about some of those words that you guys shared, serenity. It sounds good. And it's where we want to be, being present and being aware. But the problem is that this concept, it really runs against the stream of our attention fragmented culture. We as adults spend so much time rushing around and doing, and we have no time to really just be. And we're so often overbooked or overscheduled and distracting. I think so many times our purpose and what we're trying to do from day to day is to see how much we can fit in one day, or how much we can fit in and how much we can do at the same time. And we've really turned ourselves into what I like to call human doings rather than human beings. Like, we don't let ourselves just be. We're always doing. We're always on the go. And even often when we do try to relax, I know this happens to me. I'm wondering if you guys if you guys can relate or feel the same way. When I do take time to relax, I'll often feel guilty, or my mind will say, don't just sit there, do something. But the good news is tonight, guys, right now, we are inviting you guys to just be, to just sit here. We're giving you permission to not have to do anything. Okay. So we have another individual activity. So knowing kind of what we know now about mindfulness, again, I want to ask you guys to let's take a minute or two, and I want you to think about the two questions on the screen. Again, let's take 2 minutes and either write down your answers or reflect on them. Just think about them in your head or type them. And those are, where do you experience distraction in your own lives? Not being present, and maybe not being as present as much as you'd like, or as much as you'd like to be or feel you should be. And then after you think about that, what does that impact? What does that impact on you, that distraction or that not being present? So go ahead and let's take 2 minutes and give this some thought. This is great. I'm already seeing some great reflection in the chat here. All right. So again, I don't want to distract you guys from your thoughts. So if you're still working on your list, feel free to go ahead and just keep writing down your thoughts, or keep working on it. But I'd love to share, and like I said, I've already been seeing some great chat, some great comments, and some great feedback coming in the chat. And I'm trying to scroll up here. Okay, it wasn't working on my computer, but here we go. Yeah, absolutely. Work, 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 rinse and repeat. I love that. I might steal that for future presentations. But it affects our health. It affects our insomnia. How many of us lay awake at night thinking about what we didn't get done at work that day, or what we didn't get done at home, what we need to do the next day? Anxiety and worry for sure. And yeah, working at home, all kinds of things come up into play. One of the things I liked working from home was I was like, okay, I could do more. I could throw in a load of laundry. You could start dinner. But then I realized, well, there's a lot of distractions that come along with the benefits. Again, sorry, hold on, my mouse just went the other way. But yeah, you can become more short-tempered. Absolutely. That's kind of how we're impacted, right? On not being present. And how it affects us, especially during this time. Yep, constant fear impacts everything. Work, I see work is work is a common area of our lives where we can feel distracted and maybe not totally present. But yeah, missed scheduled meetings, virtual teaching. I don't know, Carol shared that. I'm not sure if you're a teacher or not, but I imagine that's got to be so tough with the virtual teaching. I'm feeling rushed. Yep. Child's doing homeschool. General sense of just too much to do. Yep. Causes poor quality of work. You got it. Yeah. Again, thanks so much. These are such great reflections on how this distractedness and areas of our life where we could be more mindful. And again, this veering off from the matter at hand, right? Whether we're working or we're teaching from home, or whether we're at work, or at night when we could be spending time with our families. This veering off to worry about something that's already happened, something that's happening elsewhere, should be happening elsewhere, um, something that may happen in the future. It leaves us, just like you guys said, it leaves us stressed and it leaves us anxious. And the other problem that we face is that it's extremely difficult because we can't instruct our minds what not to think, right? So we can't, enter the workplace and say, okay, mind, don't think about anything else but work. And we can't walk through our front door at home and say, okay, mind, don't think about work, only think about, family and friends. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So, um, the good news is that our minds, okay, so like we've said, our minds are on autopilot most of the time. And we can't always control what we're thinking or what we're focusing on. But using an analogy of software, mindfulness practice is a tool that we can use to reboot our hard drives. We can gain insight into the bugs that cause our software to crash. And, again, using that analogy of software in place of the mind. And we can make tweaks that will kind of bode well for our overall well being and happiness. And the good news is that no matter where we are and how far away we drift, how far away our mind and our thoughts and our feelings, how far away they drift, mindfulness is always right there. And it's always right there to snap us back to where we are and what we're doing and feeling. And as I said before, again, we can't always control those thoughts, but through mindfulness practices, we can get to the other side of our thoughts, beyond our thinking apparatuses, and ultimately through dedication and practice, we can learn. Although, in the beginning, only for brief instances, we can disidentify with our thoughts. We can observe them non judgmentally and thus avoid letting them control us or distract us for too long. And again, a question that I get asked a lot is, how can I be more mindful? Or how can I be mindful all of the time? And the answer is you can't. Even the best practicers out there. It's just like a lot of our other emotions. We're not kind, we're not excited, we're not amused 100% of the time because sometimes the situation just doesn't call for it. And so it's the same with mindfulness. But just because we may not be mindful 100% of the time, or the situation might not call for it, that shouldn't stop us from having the intention to be mindful when it's needed. And the best way to understand or to be able to cultivate that mindfulness is to practice it. And we are going to get into talking about practicing and being able to, and we're going to practice practicing it. But I want to talk about some of the benefits of mindfulness practice. And there's a few proven benefits to practicing mindfulness, and they include reduced stress, enhanced performance. And, that can happen when you use the example of work, not just in your everyday work life, which is important too, but things like giving a presentation or going into an interview. Being mindful can really help with your performance in those instances. And we gain insight and awareness, and we increase our attention to the well-being of others. So again, it can be I'm sorry, okay, here we go. We can break down even these benefits to even a little more specific. And we'll go over a few examples that are common areas. And I put the workplace in here first, and I'm glad that I did because so many of you shared that work is an area that we're distracted. But according to a survey that was conducted by the Udemy research, and it was aptly called the 2018 Workplace Distraction Report, it showed that nearly 3 out of 4 workers, and that's 70%, say that they feel distracted at work. So we're not alone. We're not alone in this. The majority of people are reporting this. But it can be especially helpful to bring a mindful disposition to your job. Which can be the source of significant stress. And that workplace stress is, like we've said, is only becoming more consuming. So there's email on the phones and at home. There's inner office chat tools and social media, and they're all constantly competing for our attention. And often, bleeding into the hours that were historically meant for us to kind of relax and sign out and just kind of be. Um, so when we constantly flip from one task to another, the quality of our work can suffer. So by practicing this mindfulness and simply coming back to the present moment over and over again, we can train ourselves to become more focused. And I'm gonna kind of skip over that one just for the interest of time. I was there for there was a video, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to play or not. But I think we all know that in parenting, uh, it's certainly an area where so many of us can probably would like to, and know that it would help if we were more mindful. Um, and again, benefits of mindfulness in relationships. And the picture that I have here, it definitely looks like a romantic couple, but it can really apply to any relationship, whether it's a partner or a spouse or a friend or even a colleague or a coworker. Um, there was a analysis that was published in the Journal of Human Sciences last year, and it found that higher levels of mindfulness do predict happier and more satisfying relationships. And every interaction between you and your partner is an opportunity, or your friend or your colleague, anybody that you have a relationship with. um it, Again, that interaction is an opportunity for mutual appreciation and togetherness. But when we're distracted, tensions can become higher, and what we're not mindful of others' emotions or their words, their energy, and their interactions. So, to strengthen your relationship with others in meaningful and sustainable ways, a degree of mindfulness is required. So, for those scientists in the group, this is we'll take a quick look at how mindfulness works from a science perspective. So, what happens when we practice mindfulness is that it induces a relaxation response, and the response engages the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's responsible for the restoring the body to base levels after a stress response. It calms it down by lowering the heart rate, the respiratory rate, the blood pressure, and muscle tension. So no matter how you choose to practice, ultimately what happens is that to relax the body and the mind and become more mindful, this relaxation response is why we practice the mindfulness, and the science behind what's occurring in our mind and our body, and that mind body connection. So as we get into the types of mindfulness practice, you may have had some thoughts or some ideas already in your mind. There's breathing exercises and breathing meditation. There's body scans. There's loving kindness meditation and observing thought meditation. And of course, that more formal meditation with the guided imagery and even yoga are some of the most popular types of mindful practice that people use. So I'd love to invite you to, this is what we came here for, right? I'd love to invite you to join in to some mindfulness practices. So hopefully by now in the presentation, we know areas of our lives that we would like to be more mindful in, and how it could help us, and the positive impact and the positive benefits that it can have for us. But now we're going to talk about, so what do we do about it, and how do we do it? And that's by practicing mindfulness. So the first practice that we're going to do is mindful pause and noticing the mind wandering and coming back. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. And I'd like to invite you, if you feel more comfortable, you can turn off your camera for this part, or feel free to stay with us, whatever makes you feel more comfortable and more relaxed. So I want to start off with getting into that mindful posture. Let's go ahead and this is important sometimes, especially at the beginning stages of mindful practice, to really think about kind of where you are and how you're going to practice. So I invite you to take a seat, which you're probably already doing, whether you're sitting on a chair, a meditation cushion, a couch, your work area. Just find a spot that gives you a stable, solid seat. So you're not perching over and you're not hanging back. Try to be nice and stable. And in doing this, notice what your legs are doing. If you're on a cushion or you're on the floor, cross your legs comfortably in front of you. Or if you're already into yoga and you have a favorite pose, feel free to get into that posture. And if you're on a chair, it's good if the bottoms of your feet are touching the floor. And try to straighten, but don't stiffen the upper body so to the point that you're uncomfortable. The spine does have a natural curvature, so just let it be there. And your head and shoulders can comfortably rest on top of your vertebrae. And situate your upper arms parallel to your upper body. You can let your hands drop onto the tops of your legs or with your upper arms at your sides. Your hands can land right in a spot that's natural where they feel comfortable. Too far forward might make you hunch, and too far back might make you stiff. So just try to be straight but comfortable. And by doing this, you're tuning into the strings of your body, not too tight and not too loose. And lastly, you can drop your chin a little and just let your gaze gently fall downward. You may let your eyelids lower. It's not necessary, but some people prefer to do it. You can simply let whatever happens with your eyes, just go with it. And if you do prefer to keep your eyes open, try to find a spot that's in front of you and just kind of focus. Maybe a little something on the floor, a design in the carpet, something on your windowsill. Just find something to focus on. All right. And I'm going to ask you again, as we get into the practice, to just take a moment and just be still. And simply turn your attention to your body in the moment. And sensitize yourself to how the air and your clothing are touching your skin. And the sounds that you're hearing. And sense the posture of your spine, the expression on your face, and the placing of your hands. And again, just take that moment to adjust your posture to one that communicates to you a sense of dignity, a sense of ease, and a sense of presence. Now, as you're getting comfortable, let's take a few moments to sense your body breathing. You want to breathe in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And if you can, try to hold the inhale and the exhale to the count of 4. So if you inhale in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale out, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's take a few moments for you to do that on your own cue, and at your own pace. Just take a few breaths in and a few breaths out. And as you're breathing, take a moment or two again to sense your body breathing. Notice the beginning and ending of a single breath and how your body responds to each in and out breath. Try intentionally settling your attention into the body and allow the thoughts and images in your mind to simply sit in the background of your attention as your body senses, breathes, and listens. And as you continue to breathe and focusing on those breaths, how your body feels as the breaths enter your body through the inhale, feel that belly expand. Feel your rib cages pull apart and your collarbone raise up. And as you exhale, feel that belly deflate. Feel the ribs start to come back together. And your collarbone start to lower. And when your attention is drawn elsewhere, just bring the same simple knowing, a thought as a through, an image, and as an image, and just return once more to the awareness of the body without any demand or any expectation. And once you get into the rhythm and you have control and you're feeling comfortable with your breaths, just run through a quick body scan, starting from the head and going down to the toes. And loosen your jaw, removing the tension in your face. Lower the shoulders. Think about your arms, your wrists, your hand, and let the tensions go. Now think about your chest, your back, your lower back, and the belly. And again, just let the tension from these areas, loosen the muscles, and let the tension go. Moving down to our sit muscles, our thighs, our calves, down to the feet, and even give those toes a wiggle. And let the tension just flow from the body. And now I invite you to start to regain a little bit more consciousness. If your eyes were closed, slowly open them up. You can bring your breathing back to its normal rhythm. Hopefully we're all a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more mindful, a little bit more aware of our body and where it lives in space and where we are in the present. And that was a little bit more of a longer and more practiced, a more expertise practice. It is something that you can certainly do anywhere, whether you're at home, whether you're at work. And the more you practice it, the easier it's going to become. The easier time you're going to start to have with that mind-body connection, and starting to more quickly and more simply and easier time, just focusing that attention on the task at hand. But not all practices have to be a few minutes long or as much into it as that. I'm getting a little relaxed too, guys. I had to remember my words now. There's different practices that people can do. And a few simple ones would be simply just keeping a small food. People will at times just keep a box of raisins with them at work or in their purse or in the car, And something simply as just taking one of those raisins out and putting it in the mouth. And how does that raisin feel as you're, as you remove it from the box? And how does it feel in your hand? What does it look like? What does it smell like? How does it feel? How does that raisin feel against your tongue? And what does it taste like? Something that simple can just really bring your mind and focus on that one aspect. And it can, while you're doing that, it kind of, at least for a couple seconds or a couple minutes, makes all of those other thoughts and things that are running through our mind just kind of go away. I think of it like the ocean. The waves come in like a thought, the waves crash at the shore. That's us, you know, being mindful of the thought we just had. And then the waves go back out. And we can just let those other thoughts go back out. And it gets us centered, and it brings us more mindful and more focused on the task at hand. And another simple little practice to do would simply be to just take your pointer finger, put it on your nose, or put it on that third eye in the center of your forehead. And just thinking about where that finger is, how it feels against your skin. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it pressing firmly? Is it pressing lightly? And just thinking about that one little thing, that one simple practice and that one simple task can really, again, focus our mind, get us back to that single tasking, what's going on, and help us become more aware, more calm, and more present. And again, if you practice this mindfulness using the exercises that we just practiced tonight, you could just do the body scan. You could do our breathing exercise without the body scan. Simply just doing that, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth for those 4-second holds. It has that relaxation response that we talked about before. Will simply have an effect, a positive effect for us. So again, whether what we practice tonight or through other practices that you might prefer, you'll get better over time. It's not something that happens that you're just, great at overnight. But so practicing is key, just like any other skill. But you'll get better over time at the skill of becoming aware and becoming present. And remember to be kind to yourself and give yourself grace as you become more skilled at it. Just like with so many other new skills, it's something that needs to be practiced, and it takes time to get good at it. And so I'd love to hear from you guys how you're feeling, or if you have any questions, about mindfulness, about types of mindfulness, about mindfulness practice.
Thank you so much, Erin. So folks, feel free to type in the chat, or I think at this point, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question, feel free to do so. Any questions? Folks are typing in the chat.
Relaxed and calm. Yeah. Right. Oh, so he says, I'd like to use an orange to connect with mindfulness. That's a fantastic idea. Yep. I like the orange because it's a school color too. But the way it smells, the way it looks, the way it feels, absolutely, you got it. I think you're on the right task. It doesn't have to be a raisin. It could be, just something that interests you is something that you're going to stick with more. So that's a great idea. Yeah, good way to unwind. Yoga teacher did that. Sometimes that's my favorite part of yoga. So say if I'm having a lazier day, I like that. I get through all the postures and all the moving around because I love the meditation at the end. Will there be additional sessions? Well, I can certainly talk with Rodney and Jenna about that. We just kicked off the recreation department at William Paterson just kicked off a mindfulness session. And if you have Instagram, you are welcome to either follow us or just find us. You could do it even if you're not following us. We're doing a mindful minute. It's a few minutes, but it's no more than 10 minutes. Every Monday at 11. So if you want to hop on and just kind of participate in our mindfulness practice of what we're doing that day. It's also saved to our feed. So if you can't catch that 11 o'clock live version, it's saved there and you can go on when you have time during the week and practice. There are times when you wake up in the night and it's hard to get back to sleep. Yeah. Any thoughts on how to use mindful? Absolutely. I'm with you on that. Sure. Doing that body scan. You can just simply, if you are up in the middle of the night and you can't, your mind is racing and you can't get back to sleep. Sometimes that body scan will work. Just really, you can even, and I didn't throw in all of the techniques tonight because there's so many of them, but you can even tense up each muscle as you do that scan and let it go. And you could tense those shoulders, let the shoulders go. Tense your arms and make a fist, let it go. Tense those belly muscles, those ab muscles, the legs, and let it go. And really visual as you're doing that, visualize the stress and the tension leaving the body. And another thing is just those breathing exercises. And you could do them laying in bed. I know when I'm stressed out, I'll do that at night. Just simply that breathing in and making sure you're doing, deep breaths in to the point that your belly is expanding, almost like there's a balloon in your abs that you're inflating. And then that deep exhale out, like almost like your belly is deflating or collapsing. But just, over and over again, just focusing on that breath and those deep breaths. It does connect and affect that parasympathetic system, and it does induce a relaxation response. So I hope those are a few suggestions that could help you. I'm reading more of the okay, great. Yeah, somebody was racing home and then couldn't find the email. All this is life, right? All this stuff happens to us. But I'm glad that the relaxation technique helped you. Hopefully this was the perfect night for you to have this workshop. Yep, finger on the nose approach. You got it. It can work. It's so simple. It's so easy. It can work anywhere. Sometimes we need that. Are there any WP yoga sessions available? There are. We are doing our group fitness classes online right now, and they are on Instagram. I know there's like a debate of Instagram versus Zoom, and the reason we did Instagram is so we didn't have to make sure everybody had, since it's can be open to anybody. We didn't need to get out the links. So if you have Instagram, or if you don't have Instagram, maybe get it now, even just for this. We have yoga at 6:30 on Sunday nights, and you can stream it. You could stream it live, or it is saved to our feed, and you can go back and you can do the yoga class, anytime throughout the week because it's saved there. And then somebody said, say it again, when to join you. Oh, okay. So the Mindfulness Minute, this week was our first one. So you'll see one there, but it is Mondays at 11 a.m. And again, it's saved to the feed. So you could catch it if you're not, I know it is during the workday. So if you can't catch it live, it's saved on our feed. Is there a way to do mindfulness and exercising? That's actually a really great question. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think mindfulness, that's another area that I didn't go over, but it has a huge role, I think, in sports and in fitness so often, especially in certain sports like track and field and swimming. When you see those, I'm remembering Michael Phelps from the last Olympics, I guess 4 or 5 years ago. I think he had a little anger in his face, but he was getting in that mind frame. That was how he was centering himself. And absolutely, those breathing exercises. I am a runner. I'm a former competitive distance runner, and that's part of how I got into mindfulness practice, because I would get so nervous and emotional before races. I had to do something to get myself in the right mind frame and able to compete. And so you can do those breathing exercises before your workout, during your workout, before your competition, even during your competition, just focusing on controlling your breathing, and just thinking about the way your body feels when you're exercising. When you're just use like a bicep curl for an example. Think about what it is that you're trying to work when you're doing the bicep curl. you're not working your back, so you don't want to feel it, in your lower back or your abs, like we often rock when doing that. Think about the muscle that you're working and how it feels, and really focus, whether it's the bicep or whether it's the quad or a few different muscles. Like if you're doing a squat, think about how your glutes and your legs feel, but just focusing in on how your body feels and what it is that you're trying to work really makes that mind body connection, and that can help you be more mindful. So I hope that
Can I ask
helps.
you a question about the exercise?
Yeah, please do.
I fit when you do that, try to sit in your chair and relax. I don't seem to get to relax, but if I was working out or running, I relax more after that.
Right.
Like, what does that mean? Am I backwards?
You backwards. I'm trying to think. So you have a heart. Is your body uncomfortable when you're sitting? Is that what it is?
No, when you tell me to think about my feet, think about my uh, your shins, and I get more tense. When I used to go to hypnotherapy, she used to do that to get me in, and I'd say I'm getting more tense. So she would say, "Have your feet explode, have your knees explode." It's kind of like a backwards feel.
It is.
I wonder if you ever heard of that.
No, maybe there are people like that. So sometimes just, I think, just sitting and your mind, you might like to be more active, and maybe that's what comforts you. I'm not sure, but you could always do just a moving instead of sitting. Like as she said, explode. I'm not sure if this is the same thing, but yeah, stand up and move your head, move your neck, maybe arm circles, and lift your knees and roll your ankles, and you can flex and extend the hands. And instead of just tensing the muscles and letting them go, or thinking about the muscles and letting them go, you can move and think about, how does my neck feel when I'm doing some neck circles, and how do my shoulders and how do my arms feel, or even if you bend and extend at the hips, like how does that make my hips feel? And I don't know, have you given that a try? Maybe that's something that could work for you.
I'm not sure. I just started the mindfulness thing with someone else telling me, and it does help me in stressful situations because I come to focus to the moment.
Yeah.
I never tried to connect it to exercise, but I know after a stressful day, if I ran a few laps around the block, I'm much more relaxed.
Yeah, that's so common, and that is the same, and that's because that, especially running or walking, that releases those endorphins too.
Right.
So you get that going. But yeah, so it sounds to me like moving meditation, and you can find there's apps, and there's different things too. We've hosted some walking meditations, so I struggle with that one a little bit because the students have to, or anyone participating has to use some technology to hear my voice. So we're trying to get them to be mindful and get off the technology, but then I'm telling you to get on and listen to me as you're walking. But you could always just put in the headphones and put your technology in your pocket. But absolutely, there's walking meditations and there's guided runs, and that might be something that works for you. And then again, even just that movement meditation, just moving, and that makes that mind body connection. If you think, how does my body feel as I'm bending or I'm stretching, that could work for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does.
Great. Did I miss any? I don't know, Rodney, Jenna, did I miss any more?
I think you've covered most of them. The chat, there's a lot of conversation going on, so it's great, and I'm trying to respond to some folks this way. But if we missed your question, please feel free to retype it, or again, unmute and just jump in.
Hi. Is it possible, because I don't have an Instagram account and I know I could get one, but there's reasons. Oh, last time I tried, I had like all these celebrities following me. I wasn't the idea of it. I'm just old fashioned that way, I guess. But is it possible to record your yoga sessions using Zoom and then just email them to the alumni list? Because that's how I got this, was at an alumni.
I think that's something that we could work on. We could always take our videos and also save them to another place. I had the idea of, I know a lot of people are using YouTube pages, and we have a specific WP Rec YouTube page. And so all this, I wasn't good at technology before March of this past year. So I had never even heard of Zoom. I had never used Teams. I had never personally done an Instagram Live. But here we are now, kind of learning and getting better. So that has been something on my mind, maybe saved, because more people have been asking, even faculty and people at school, how else can we do it? So I can promise you that I'm going to look into that, and we should be able to get at least a YouTube page, at least our videos up to the YouTube. Would that be good? Because then if you don't need an account for that. If we gave you the link, you could just go on and check out the videos.
Yeah. It's just what's nice with Zoom is you actually could schedule it into your Google Calendar and those kind of things. But yeah, because it automatically uploads to Google Calendar, reminder, it's a certain time. But if it's not live anyway, then the time and date doesn't really matter. So the YouTube page sounds great. If there's a way for the alumni side of things to get that, at least the initial link to the alumni list. And then once we have that initial link, I guess we just keep going back to the same link and it'll just be updated.
Yeah. Yep. And all the videos would just be there with the newest one kind of at the top.
Okay, great. So I guess it would just, the initial time being an email so that we're aware that it's happened and where to go get it.
Yep, absolutely. You know what? I will do that. And just, give me a couple days, give like a week or so.
Oh, of course, Erin. No pressure.
And then absolutely, I'll follow back up with, and I like these suggestions. We're happy.
Yeah.
We do a lot of these planning, and I know the instructors like, and I do. I'm actually going to be adding some courses too, and we design a workout or a yoga session and that kind of thing. We like when people are doing it. So
yeah.
I'll follow back up with Jenna and Rodney and get you guys that information.
That'd be so good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, if you're doing it anyway, all you have to do is tape them.
Right. I know. Yeah. We even talked about when we go, I don't know, someday when things get back to normal, the online has been so popular that we think we'll just do a hybrid. When we can start offering the classes again, we'll probably just tape them and even, stream them live or put them up after.
So is yoga a class that people take for credit?
No. It's just a group fitness class that we've always offered, but it used to be in person. Like, students, staff, whoever used the rec center could just come and do it.
Oh, so alumni could have had access to that. Oh, all these years I was paying for yoga. I could have been going to yours for free.
I think you do have to have a membership to the rec center, but I think Rodney might know more. I shouldn't know that, but do you know about the alumni memberships at the rec center? There is one. I could get you more information.
Oh, we're allowed to swim there. I know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, Erin. And we'll be sure to follow up with everyone via email. We'll gather as much information as we can, working with Erin to share information about some of the things that the great benefits that she shared with us tonight.
Yeah. I just saw somebody. Sorry. Just cut me off. I can talk about this forever. Sorry. I saw somebody said something about Headspace, and I know there are other apps out there, but that is my favorite one. So sorry. Go ahead, Jenna.
No, that's okay. I just was going to say that I know we're coming up on 7:00. So if folks do need to sign off, we understand, but you're welcome to hang around, and we're happy to stay on and continue the conversation and answer any final questions that folks have. And before we, formally end, I just want to thank Erin. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your mindfulness practices with us tonight. We really appreciate it. And to our alumni, thank you for taking the time out of your evening to join us here tonight. I hope you enjoyed it and continue to stay connected to William Paterson. And like I said, we're happy to stay on and continue to answer some questions.